I think it was unique to most of the churches that supported us because that was the only radio station that the Conservative Baptist Home Mission Society had. So it was novel from that line because other people that would, usually it was a preacher that would go in and present the ministry. But Paul was not a preacher. Paul did not want to be ordained, although some churches offered to do it, because it was during the Vietnam War and people were getting ordained, men were getting ordained to avoid the draft. So he said, no, I don't want to be ordained. And so he was Mr. Paul Hutton, not Reverend Paul Hutton.
I had a passion for radio broadcast engineering and had the opportunity to work with that as we joined the mission. I mean, as we went out on first short term at first. And the mission requirement was that I would have at least 20 hours of Bible in college. And so as we applied to work with the mission in a little bit different role, that's what the requirement was. And we said, okay, we'll do that. And so it wasn't a big deal. Only my mother was interested in getting my ordination. And there are several time periods here that come into play. The first was doing a short-term mission ministry in Honduras with Janie. We immediately after we were married, we went to Honduras. And then later, when we officially joined the mission, we went back to Honduras, and I went back as the chief engineer of HRVC. In that position, my goal was to work myself out of a job and leave the radio station engineering in the hands of nationals. The Lord provided the person to do that. One was from an American from our home church, and the other was a Honduran who came along. And so we worked with them until we reached a point and said, okay, we're done with our role at HRVC. But meanwhile, we had become the director of the radio station. And then the goal was to nationalize the station. So we nationalized the station. And then where would we go next? A call to the mission left us with an invitation by the Billy Graham Association to take us on loan and go to Hawaii and work with Radio KAIM, which was a Billy Graham station. So we wound up putting 16 years in Hawaii with this emphasis on Christian radio. And as that period of time came to a close, we got an invitation, this time directly from Rick, through a phone call, and asked me if I would become the regional director for the mission in Central America and the Caribbean. So our overall main focus went from radio into overseeing missionaries, national missionaries, church planters, and my goal had been to encourage nationals in leadership. I had seen situations that left me wishing that I could have more influence on nationals, and the Lord just opened the door and said, okay, here you go. And so we started running all over Central America and the Caribbean, overseeing nationals, and being in a position to actually appoint a number of them. So a number of the missionaries that we're looking at now who are serving in Central America and the Caribbean, we had the opportunity to appoint them. And that was exciting. That was just gave me through the roof excitement to see those ministries developed.
We need to backtrack a teeny bit.
Please.
In Hawaii, we didn't spend 16 years with Radio KAIM. You went back to the Conservative Baptist ministry in Hawaii, which was International College and Graduate School of Theology, and that's when you finished your schooling.
So yeah, there was a time frame. So we were back in Hawaii. I finished up my college responsibilities, got my MABS, and started teaching missions right in that college right there, and developing a vision towards continuing the focus on missions.